When an army is sent on a mission, there is nothing that can stop it, especially if it is a small group of men whose objective leads them to secretly go into the least expected places. Curiously, such missions are more frequent than you might think. Even in modern times where the world experiences absolute peace, this type of military action is carried out regularly, although sometimes something goes wrong, terribly wrong. No one knows how to explain what happens to the missing people, nor what goes wrong. But in this opportunity, we are going to share a few declassified cases that have surprised the governments of several countries. An army once entered the forest, and if you want to know what was waiting for them, you'd better stick around to the end of the video. Throughout human history, wars have always brought disappearances, especially when soldiers go into enemy territories on rescue, recovery, or espionage missions. However, what happened in the Korean Demilitarized Zone on December 17, 1974 doesn't appear in any textbooks. On that day, a platoon of soldiers was sent to the northernmost part of the Koreas on a search and destroy mission along a river in the area. The group set out early in the morning, and by noon they had penetrated a wooded riverbank leading down to a small stream. So far, they had not encountered any enemy, nor had they achieved the objective of the mission. In fact, it was as if there was absolutely nothing in the forest. The sound of the animals had died down. No one could hear the breeze, and everything in the forest seemed suddenly dead, as if someone or something had stolen the sound of the place. Immediately, the squadron leader noticed the unnatural silence, but there was not much he could do. So they renewed the march, with the only difference that they sent several scouts to the different cardinal points so that if there was an enemy, they would find out in time. The group advanced without stumbling until the evening began to fall. It was then that something strange happened. Just as they were finishing their tour of the northern part of the river, they discovered that the scout assigned to that area had disappeared. Not only that, after trying to radio the rest of the vigilant soldiers, it was discovered that they had all been intercepted. The group opted to fall back and return to the base for support, but the way back would not prove to be easy. As they sped towards the base, the group managed to spot strange shadows lurking in the trees. They all believed they were being ambushed by the rebels, so every so often they unloaded their rifles into the trees in a futile effort to catch their stalkers. However, the bullets failed to hit anyone. There was nothing in the forest, or maybe there was. It was only halfway when they managed to catch sight of what was chasing them. It was a small group of humanoid creatures that were about 2.5 meters tall and had a bright yellow coloration. Each of their arms ended in 3 fingers and had claws. In addition, their faces were flat, with large clear eyes and 2 slits where the nose should have been. Instead of attacking the platoon, the creatures completely ignored them and walked past them without caring too much. Still, the soldiers opened fire and discharged their weapons, but the bullets simply ricocheted. Nothing could harm these strange beings, and when they finally disappeared, the men ran without looking back for several hours until they finally reached the base. None of the subsequent reports seem to reveal the whereabouts of the scouts, nor do they confirm the history of the battalion or their fate. The only clue we have of them are the testimonies of about 15 soldiers who were part of that event. All of them were in perfect mental condition and swear that what happened is completely real. Another case quite similar to this one was starred by an anonymous corporal of the United States Army in Vietnam. His case occurred in 1970, 50 kilometers from the demilitarized southern zone at the time. Coincidentally, the setting was exactly like the earlier case in Korea, a wooded area marked by steep hills and a river running along a small trail. The corporal was part of a platoon sent to this area, and after setting up camp during the night while he was trying to sleep, he heard a strange sound. He immediately got up with his weapon in his arms, fearing that it was an enemy patrol, but he could not find the origin of those strident footsteps. Mysteriously, he was the only one who had heard the sound, since the rest of the camp remained in absolute silence. The men slept oblivious to the danger that loomed over them. The corporal was about to give the alarm signal, but at that moment someone suddenly silenced him, although it would be better to say something. The shadows of the trees quickly became giants. Huge and terrifying beings emerged from the darkness. The corporal could not speak. He was completely paralyzed before the image of humanoids up to 3 meters tall, with completely smooth faces and 3-fingered hands with claws. In addition, the creatures emanated a repugnant odor, and the mere sight of them generated nausea and really powerful fear that prevented him from even moving his body. There was no escape, and when the creature was within a few meters of him, the corporal discovered that it had certain features of bipedal lizards, with scaly and shiny skin dark as obsidian, and although it walked with the upright demeanor of a human being, there was something animalistic about these invaders. However, that was as far as the corporal's story went because he passed out in the middle of the camp. When he awoke, he was punished for falling asleep outside his tent. The corporal kept his story to himself for many months until he confessed it at the headquarters, although the result was that he was sent to the rear because he was considered mentally unstable. However, this wasn't the last report of these strange creatures in Vietnam. A year later, another 6-man reconnaissance patrol went into the jungle near the North Vietnamese border on a surveillance mission. Everything seemed to be perfectly calm until midnight when the strange humanoid strangers appeared before them. None of the men managed to give an alarm signal, but instead passed out while hugging their weapons. The entire platoon was sent to the rear, but this type of report was repeated throughout Vietnam during the whole war. No one was ever able to explain the origin of these incidents, not even those that occurred in places as far apart as Korea and other African and Asian areas. Apparently, they were simply roaming around, perhaps investigating, perhaps analyzing the war, or simply waiting for a moment to fulfill a mission that no one knows anything about. Be that as it may, these creatures have never been accepted as real, and no army in the world has ever bothered to declassify the documents related to this type of allegation. Moreover, the soldiers involved have been silenced and sent to the deepest anonymity. However, their stories continue to be told year after year to everyone's bewilderment. Do these humanoids really exist? What are they looking for on our planet? We may never find out, but this is definitely not the first time that inexplicable events have occurred in the midst of war. In fact, there are numerous events recorded by the governments of the world that tell the story of strange sightings in the worst belligerent moments on the planet. Would you like to know any of them? Then just check out the following videos and you will discover the best kept secrets in times of war. Here you go.